Today we mod my new carb to run on this stuff. Big thanks to Stretch Pads on Instagram for the carb. 32mm PWK copy carb, and a real good copy too. A genuine cane has nothing on this carb. It is beautifully machined and the casting is really nice and there's no burrs or anything, so big thanks. Now you might think a 32mm carb is a tad large for 50cc, and that's true, but simulations in Emot show a slight advantage over 28 and 30mm with this 32mm. So why not? Also thanks to John Mazur for the layout fluid. Now I'm one step closer to doing things properly. Thank you. Check out his YouTube channel, link in the description. I'm trying out a new camera today alongside the one I'm usually using. It's the Akaso EK7000, really cheap GoPro knockoff. So I bought it primarily to use it as a secondary camera for things where it might get damaged, because there has been some welding splatter and stuff on the lens on my Sony, and I kind of don't want to ruin it because I'm really pleased with how it works. If this video sounds a bit different, it's because I also got an external recorder, a Zoom H1. Okay, running RC fuel needs a lot richer air fuel ratio, like 4 times, maybe 5 times what you run on gasoline, depending on how much nitro is in the mix. Now I'm going to show you what I will do to this carb to make it work. First we'll have to drill out the float needle valve. It's a tiny bit less than 2mm from stock, it seems, and I'm taking it up to 3. You can probably go to 3.2, but then the float valve will barely seal. I'll take off the burr with this diamond bit by hand. Next up is drilling out the emulsion tube to a larger diameter than the main jet, which will be 2.5mm, the one I've been running in the 24mm carb. I won't drill out this emulsion tube. I can just swap it from that carb too, but you can see the difference here. Also, depending on the size of your needle jet, in this carb it's kind of small, so I'll press it out and I'll press in this one, which is slightly larger. You can see there's some difference between these two. The higher one is often referred to as a 4-stroke needle jet, but on a rotary valve it works just fine, in my experience at least. The pilot jet has to be replaced with a much larger one. Let's see what's in here now. It's 0.38 I'm replacing it with a 1.5mm pilot jet. With such a large pilot jet, the tiny passage into the bore here becomes a restriction. That has to be drilled out. Nicked it a little bit there, hoping that won't make it leak. I don't think so. Okay, the jet block is ready, and the needle jet passage is drilled out. Now we need to extend the power jet tube more into the bore to make it flow better, and mount this adjustable valve to it. I'll replace the stock tiny power jet with a tiny hole in it with this piece of tube. It's a bit bent, but it's also flared at the end. If the epoxy lets go, it won't slip into the bore anyway. On this carb, I think it's such a tight fit that I can just press it down in there and won't need any epoxy at all. Let's see if that's correct. It feels very tight, so let's try. I'm replacing the stock needle, which is bent anyway. That's the only thing bad I have to say about this carb. This needle was a bit bent. Also, the jet block had some burrs. The rest of the carb is a much better casting, or has a much better finish than the jet block. So that's two things. There's a few scratches on the slide, and that's because there's also some sharp edges here. I have to sand that a bit. So 3 things done, but nothing serious. That's the carb done. Here's a comparison between the 24 and the 32 millimeter. It's quite a bit larger. It'll be interesting to see how it works out. Okay, thanks for watching. I'll be back soon with more longer videos. Please subscribe, please share my videos. See you next time.